I'm calling these anticipated releases, but considering the fact that they've all been out for at least 2 months and I haven't made any move to try to read them, can I even call them anticipated releases at that point? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Hi, hello, how are you? How has your week been? So yes, I'm going to be reading some of my most anticipated releases of this year. I am very nervous because I have put so much pressure on these books. That's why I haven't gotten around to reading them, because I'm just so worried. These books are all either part of a series that I already really love or from some of my favorite authors that I just have put so much pressure on these books to be good that I will be so sad if I don't love them. And I'm just nervous that they're not gonna live up to the expectations I've put on them in my mind. But we're gonna ignore that for now and just get started on reading these books. And we're gonna start off strong by finally reading Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I'm scared. Let's go. Last night I read to page 22 in Great Big Beautiful Life. I'm not gonna lie, last night I'm so sad. I was trying to see how many pages were in this book because it seems like a pretty hefty book. Spoiled something on the last page for myself. I'm so sad, but I did it to myself. I'm the only one I can blame. Anyways, this book is about two writers who are up for the opportunity to write the memoir tell-all story of this elusive lady who's kind of been hiding from the public for the past 2 decades, and they fall in love, obviously, because that's just how Emily Henry books go. I'm enjoying the first 22 pages so far. I'm gonna throw on an ambiance. I've got an Alani, I've got some kettle corn. I am set to sit here for the next 52.5 minutes and just read. Just had a Poppy and Alex mention. Cute! I think something big is about to happen. I've read most of this today. Oops. I'm just so into it. I'm loving it. I thought something big was gonna happen. No, they're just gonna make out. Now I think something's happening. Dude, what? What? Uh-oh. Oh my. Oh my gosh. Huh? I finished reading Great Big Beautiful Life. It was the kind of book where I finished it and I had to just kind of stare at the ceiling for a minute. I started reading the next book, which is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I am currently 41% of the way through the book and I am thoroughly enjoying it. Do feel like I'm kind of missing some pieces from the other books. Oh well. Just gonna have to deal with that. I'm currently on page 202 of Accomplice to the Villain. I was laughing really hard at this book while I was at the gym today. My first time at my new gym. I was like, hope nobody thinks I'm crazy. So I'm 57% of the way through. I'm hoping to finish this today. my Kindle says it's gonna take me a little less than 3 hours to finish it, and it's only 2:45, so I definitely think I can do that. But I'm about to knowingly make the mistake of laying down to read this book on the couch. Place your bets now on how long you think it's gonna take for me to fall asleep. Last night I finished reading Accomplice to the Villain, and it kept me up until like 11:30 last night, which was later than I wanted to go to bed, but I just had to finish it. I got to about like an hour left, and I just was like wide awake, like couldn't put the book down. And every page I turned, I was like, what do you mean? Once I finished the book, I turned off my Kindle. I was like thinking about the book and like everything that happened in the last like 10% of the book, and I literally out loud was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I believe the next book is gonna be the last book, but I have no idea how long I'm gonna have to wait for that one. Like, am I gonna have to wait like 10 months? Is it gonna come out about like the beginning of August, like Accomplice to the Villain did? We already know the title of it. It's called Adversary to the Villain. I don't think the cover's been released, and I don't think we have a release date either. But I cannot tell you how excited I am to finally see like how the story ends with these characters. The plot development over the first 3 books is just wow. So many things happened that I never predicted were gonna happen, and I just can't wait to see where she takes the story in the final book. And then this morning I went to the gym, walked on the treadmill for an hour, you know, with my trusty Kindle clicker, and I started reading Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. Now, I love Holly Jackson. I have read all of her books. The Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, 5 Survived, The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I've read all of those, and I have loved them. I am just like excited to continue reading Not Quite Dead Yet, and I'm not gonna lie, in the first like chapter, I was so confused. If you don't know me, hi, hello, my name's Jess, and I have a habit of not looking into books before I start reading them. I will just like hear somebody else talk about it, look at the cover, hear the title, and be like, oh, that sounds like a book I'd like. And I'll just read it, and without knowing anything about what the plot is. And so I started this book, and I was so confused the first chapter because I forgot that this was Holly Jackson's first adult thriller. In the past, all of her other books have been YA, and so when I started this book, I was like picturing them as high schoolers, and then there were just like some details and things I was just like, wait a minute, I don't understand. Like, what? How does this fit? And it's like, oh wait, because you forgot, you didn't re-look into the book before you started it. These characters are in their late 20s. They're not high schoolers. Now that I figured that out, I'm not as lost. I just have to say, I've been reading books that I was so excited for them to come out, then I got nervous that they weren't gonna be good. But the 2 that I've finished so far, I really loved them. I'm sensing a theme here. Will I take that into account next time a book is released that I was like really excited about? Probably not. I'll probably put off reading that book too. Now, for those who were worried that I was maybe a vampire because I really only ever film these videos in my house, here's some proof. Here's me outside. So I am reading Not Quite Dead Yet. I am pretty far into it. I don't have much left, I don't think. Oh, I've got 30% left. If you don't know what this book is, basically this is an adult thriller by Holly Jackson, and you're following Jet, and on Halloween night, somebody breaks into her house and hits her on the head. She wakes up a couple of days later and is told that because of her injuries, she is most likely going to pass away. So she has a very limited time before her like expected expiration date. And she decided that her last thing she wants to do before she goes is to solve her own murder. Do I have any theories about who did it? I mean, I have inklings, but with Holly Jackson's writing, I have learned to just ignore that because out of the 5 Holly Jackson books that I've already read, I never saw the ending coming. Like whoever it was who like had done the whatever it was, I never pictured it was that person. Or if I did, like the way that you got from point A to point B was like nothing you could have predicted. I know what I said earlier about never knowing who did it in Holly Jackson's books before the very end. I think I know who did it. Crap. Maybe I was wrong. No, please, no. That'll make me so sad. Oh, wait, that's so sad. Oh gosh. That's funny. That's funny. Okay, let's go over my thoughts. Great Big Beautiful Life. I found this book to be very reminiscent of The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I loved Great Big Beautiful Life. Didn't like Evelyn Hugo. Why is that? Here's my theory as to why I think my opinions were so different between these 2 books. I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo in the summer of 2022, which was the year I got back into reading. So I was a baby reader. I had read barely any books, and I really think I just had zero appreciation for a complex character. You know, the ones who do the wrong things for the right reasons or have just done bad things but are generally a pretty good person. I thought everything was very cut and dry, right versus wrong, simple, easy to understand. You know, since then, I have read many books in the past 3 years, and I have definitely come to understand that that is just simply not the case. And that is why I think I was able to really enjoy Great Big Beautiful Life. I gave this book 5 stars. Once I finished this book, I simply just had to stare at the ceiling for a couple minutes to like fully comprehend everything that had happened. Loved it. Then I read Accomplice to the Villain. This is the 3rd book in the Assistant to the Villain series by Hannah Nicole Mayer. The series follows Evie, who gets hired as the assistant to the villain. It's kind of a mix between a fairy tale and The Office. The villain has an office building and he has employees and an HR lady and interns, and overall the book is just very silly, goofy vibes. I find them absolutely hysterical. I have such a fun time reading them because they're just so funny. The characters are so witty. The banter is top tier, and I generally find myself laughing out loud at the antics of these characters, and there simply is no way to not have a smile on your face while you're reading these books. I really like how so far all 3 of these books have been so intertwined. I said this in another video recently, but I feel like a lot of more recent fantasy book series have kind of had a format where they have one specific problem for each book. While yes, technically it is a series, you're not following like the same adventure like all throughout the books. However, this book, Accomplice to the Villain, leaves you with more questions than answered. I've really enjoyed seeing how the layers of the problem have been revealed throughout the series. At the beginning of book 1, the problem was very one-dimensional. Now it involves everyone and their mother in a million different ways, and yet they're all still somehow connected. Makes for a great story. I love it. 4 stars. Then I read Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. I hadn't read a thriller in a while, and I'm so glad that the first thriller I read was a Holly Jackson novel. I love her thrillers. I would say she's one of my favorite authors. Well, the thing that sticks out the most to me about Holly Jackson's writing is that she writes books with unsettling endings. You close the book and you still have questions. As an avid true crime listener, I would say that most of the stories that get told have questions that will simply never be answered. And Holly Jackson really captures that in her thrillers. She also writes amazing female characters, but Holly Jackson does a really great job of establishing the main characters' relationships with the people around them. And that really just draws you in the story more and gives you more of an emotional connection so that when things do happen, they hit you harder than they might have otherwise. I could sing praises about Holly Jackson for forever. I cannot wait for her next book. 4.5 stars. So in conclusion, I read 3 anticipated releases and rated all 3 of them above a 4 stars. What I should do is take this as a learning opportunity to understand that statistically, I don't really have a reason to be afraid to read new releases. However, I'm not gonna do that. Oh well. Anyways guys, that is all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed this video, please give a thumbs up to let me know that you enjoy this type of content. Comment down below the most recent new release that you absolutely loved, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content in the future. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.